Hello and welcome to part 2 of the 1 in 500 year flood. Last time, the dike just gave way for mysterious reasons, and now the water is backing up into the Rouge River, and this is basically a 3.0 flood. Well, it's probably like 2.80 or something, but it's pretty bad. So now that water is, and one thing I was thinking when it was loading is I hope that one day cities introduces water erosion, like if water is the current is strong over certain periods, portions of land, it erodes away the dirt. Like let's say here, if this stayed like this for a long time, it would slowly start creating an indent in a river where this is flowing. I think that would be interesting. That's how stuff like this is created in rivers, because the rivers end up going in a loop like this, but they want to go straight as possible. So they slowly start working their way through until they finally do work their way through, and it makes these little funny loops that usually end up being kind of like lakes or something. The more you know. I do have to say that this whole floodway system has actually turned out to work very well. I mean, as we can see here, it's flowing quite strongly down the diversion. Even if we go down here, the flow is quite strong, and then it comes out here at the bottom, going back into the river. And here you can see that the river is flowing south, so that water is not being forced back up into the river. So, as a concept, it actually has been a resounding success. However, as far as making things interesting, it's been a bit of a failure. I've also added something else interesting. I decided to make a small river that goes from here and feeds into the Insane River. See if it, just to maybe spice things up a bit. I think I'm going to raise the area just surrounding it a bit so it has a chance to even out into the river. It's not flood protection, it's just getting it to flow more nicely. So this river seems to be flowing quite uncontrollably in the direction of the newest part of town, Awesomeness Park, which I made some new commercial areas in. I'm actually looking forward to making that traffic video and traffic management. I think that would be interesting. That's a bit off topic though. Yeah, water is rising a bit in the city. It is actually rising quite a bit. It's going into the Oran spillway now and is rising upon these dikes, getting pretty close to the top. How's it looking on this side? This side usually doesn't really have any problems during any floods. However, the parks here are flooding as they are along the river here. Here water's rising, but still in controllable levels. It does seem like less water is going into the diversion now, though. Water is starting to come towards the main highway down here, and the farm's about to wash over the road. About to make some cows and chickens and oink pigs very wet, along with a few cars. So this, I don't know if it'll, I imagine it might be subdued by the time it gets to the residential area, but it certainly is having effect on the agricultural land. How about down here? Seems to be going up and down on this flood wall. And I've gone down here. Actually, this whole idea may have had the effect of taking pressure off of the spillway, or whatever this is, the floodway. Okay, we have quite a bit of industrial flooding up here. It seems to be gathering in a bit of a low area in the land right here, but not making its way towards the residential area yet. However, we do have a large amount of water that's flowing through the other way of this small river, which may very well back up into this river and cause some problems in short order. Okay, water is now starting to flood into the new commercial district of this area and flooding just along the edges, along with waters rushing quite violently through here, slowly making its way towards the up the wrong way of the Oran spillway and towards the dammed area here, and it may overflow this, backing up into this river, bypassing the already compromised gate. But yeah, it does seem like there is lower land here. Might take a look. Yeah, it does seem like there is a slightly lower elevation here, which is causing the water to pool in this area, along with this area where it seems to be spilling over the banks of this river. This whole area seems to be slightly lower. So that could cause... It may actually help this area, because if the water pools here, it doesn't seem to be pushing on much further than that into this area. But what I'm most concerned about is this water that's now making its way up this river the wrong way. Oh, the water is flooding this little point area slightly as it forces its way around this very tight corner and wants to rush up onto land and take the path of least resistance. And it does seem like this is overflowing into here now, but soon this is going to come and maybe start pushing it the other way. And soon this diversion won't be working properly because it will actually be a source of flooding. There seems to be a lot going on right now. Water levels do seem to have gone down in here for a bit, but things are starting to get pretty dramatic here. This has generally been a very, very safe area in the city, and that may be about to change with this railway looking to be threatened. And the water just starting to go up the Oran spillway now and going over this dam quite dramatically. Just watch it for a second. Quite impressive. Here it is, a wave coming up the Oran spillway. This, once it gets around here, if it does get around here, could spell disaster for Teague Park and Wilson District, as it isn't very well protected from this side, as we've seen from previous floods. Water is starting to leak into here very slowly into Murphy Park. It has a slight dike, which is under this road. Not a big one, because it didn't really need a big one. Seems to be holding so far, but that may not last for long. It is flowing up the spillway. Not sure if it'll get past all these corners, but it may. Lots of traffic. Oh, it's starting to flood out these houses right here. We've had a bit of looks like a tsunami, a gigantic wave caused by, let's say, an underground source of water of one flood value making its way up and fanning its way out across the land, completely flooding out Floodgate Park. The Wilson District and T Park are starting to flood from behind. Water coming in through the Oran spillway, coming in quite quickly. And it seems to be about to overflow these dikes as well. Let's take a look at how everyone's doing. I'm going to pause it because, wow, a lot of people have died. I'm not sure who. Richard McDowell is currently in the hearse going to a funeral of his own. Amar God Maria has also passed away. I'm not sure. Diana Bell, 16 years old, currently at high school on the edge of the river. Jackson Quinn, currently at home in a extremely unsafe part of town. Sorry, Jackson Quinn. Frosty Creeper, where are you? Currently at... Oh no, you're traveling on the bus. Going to the Mega Shopping Center. Where do you live? Residing at the Belmont residence. That's a pretty safe house. So I'm not sure. It seems like there's a lot less people than there was, but not entirely sure who all passed away. Justin A. Freak, where are you? Currently at school. Where do you live? The Olive residence. That should be, well, would have been safe in the past, but these are strange times. Teague Park and the Wilson District are flooding extremely fast. All of this water's going quite drastically across this land and working its way into Awesomeness Park and then going into the Rouge River. It is starting to overflow these flood walls right here. It seems to be the one on the Wilson District, not quite on this side. Oh, no. Well, it's pretty much compromised anyways, as the water quickly floods into Teague Park. Things look pretty well on the S9, but waters are getting quite high up here. And I imagine all of that is going to make its way down here eventually. Let's look at our tree measurement system. Our tree measurement system is pretty much completely underwater. It's not a good sign. The newest neighborhood in the city is getting well on its way to getting completely swamped in water. Most of this area, I'm going to put on this so it looks a bit better, but flowing through the streets like they are themselves rivers. I sound like a 1950s news broadcaster. Today in Rodville, and water just seemed to be starting to come into the Murphy district. That's it. So many neighborhoods to remember. Not much yet. I'm actually kind of surprised this small dike is holding as well as it is. At the moment, anyways. This area is not doing very well, though. Because basically this whole plain area is just underwater. And I imagine most of these farms are abandoned now. Quite a bit of demand for a few things, but I don't really see it as a time to be building at the moment. Oh, it looks like Orchard Square is starting to get flooded out as well. This park is completely underwater now. Very nice park next to the tourist district. And the asinine rises rapidly. Floodwaters make their way down from Teague Park into Holly Square and even starting in Crest Hill. Almost flooding out our stadium right here. Not a good sign. Alright, this dike has finally completely failed and is now just pouring into the Murphy district. Quite literally pouring in. Things sure are happening fast now. Probably because I have at least a 4 flood going right now. Jackson Quinn is pretty lucky right now. He's living right here, just down the street. 2 houses over are flooded. Not sure if it's going to go up any higher. And it seems that everybody else is pretty safe for now. We do have a little bit of flooding down here, like always. It seems to have stopped pouring into Wilson District and Teague Park. It's just started to swamp the Murphy Park, and it might just hit the Wilson District from behind now. That's moving in really quite quickly. I think it's worth taking note right now that our population at the moment is 177,000, so we'll have to see how much that goes down by the end of this. 176 now. It really seems to have gotten a good portion of the city now. Most of Awesomeness Park, half of it at least, it's really just flowing through the Wilson District and Murphy Park. This area is not too bad. Somers Park, the Summers and Somers Park. Teague Park's not too bad, and the rest is relatively unscathed. And it looks like this area is no longer underwater anymore. But that is just turned into a lake. And it's not stopping here either. It's going right. I imagine that Awesomeness Park will be completely devastated and destroyed by the end of this. If we look here, now there is some devastation. Oh, the humanity. Just a moment to look and reflect. Somers Park is now starting to really get hit pretty hard, with this area being completely flooded out and the water moving south into areas of the city never flooded before. All of Murphy Park is underwater, all of the Wilson District is underwater, and it continues moving. We have 1, 2, 3 districts so far that have been completely destroyed, with a population at 166,000 now. Alright, so now at this point we are going to get rid of all of our water sources. And it'll still take quite a while for floodwaters to start going down, so action's gonna keep going for a while, but 90% of Awesomeness Park is underwater. All of Murphy Park is underwater. All of the Murphy District. Teague Park is really starting to get hit hard, along with large portions of the commercial areas like Birch Hills, areas never flooded before. Down here, oh wow, Briarwood Park, that is an area that's never been hit this hard before. It is beyond words. Pretty much all this area is underwater now. All of Somers and Somers Park and Carlin Hills and the Florence Square, the pleasurable districts in the city. Look at that. Look at that. Jackson Quinn has been flooded out of the city. I wonder who else is. There's a lot of areas that I thought were safe that are now flooded, so I'm going to have to take a look. Blaine is in a pretty bad... He's in Somers Park, which is an area that is getting pretty severely flooded. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell what I'm looking at anymore. It's just all water. This says never been flooded this much before. All of the tourist district, all of Murphy Park, all of the Teague District, most of the commercial districts. Murphy Park, Awesomeness Park is now about 95% underwater. And it's just chaos. Population is down to 160,000. All of Awesomeness Park is abandoned. About, I don't know, a quarter of the city has been completely destroyed. Yeah, I think a quarter would be pretty accurate. And it's even, now this is, oh wow. I'm kind of speechless right now. It's even going into these areas. It's going into the old town. This is the oldest part of the city. This area is still safe, but it's flooding quite severely now on the Asinine River. Probably flooding some people's houses that I thought would have been safe. The stadium is completely underwater. Bretch, your house is now flooded severely. This is your house right now. I thought it was safe, but obviously it isn't. Diana Bell, your house is also flooded. It just got flooded and the wave will probably go through there quite severe. Justin, you're pretty close. You're in the oldest area of town, but waters are headed in that direction, overflowing all the flood walls around you. Frosty Creeper, sort of the same story. And Blaine is not much better. Well, I think at this point I can safely say that this flood will wipe out at least half of the city. Even the oldest part of town is now completely underwater. It's never been flooded before. This area, I assume, although I've been assuming areas have been safe when they haven't been, but this area might be alright, and I have no idea how this area is going to get off, but it seems we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 districts. And water is now overflowing this flood wall into Lindale and the south end of the city. Now if this keeps going, it could flood this whole area very quickly because it's basically a bowl down here. Now let's just take a look at some of the damage. Murphy Park, complete wreck. Every house abandoned. Train lines wiped out. Awesomeness Park now above the water, but also completely wiped out. This area seems to have gotten away without being too damaged, but further in, it's a different story with this area being completely wiped out. This area is coming out from beneath the water. Murphy Park also completely wiped out. Everything abandoned. And these areas are still very much underwater. The Somers Memorial is also underwater. Alright, we've lost Bretch, who has also been flooded out. Jackson Quinn flooded out. Minigame Rocker flooded out. Justin A. Freak flooded out. All gone. We've lost many today. Only 4 left. I wonder how they're doing. Hank Hamburger, underwater. Diana Bell, surprisingly safe. Frosty Creeper also seems to have gotten away, although it seems like he has moved. And Blaine has also been another lucky one. Well, I think this is where I'm going to have to leave it for today. It's going to take a long time for this to go through. my prediction that between 65 and 85% of the city will be wiped out. That's what I'm thinking. And the rebuilding effort will be extensive. Maybe that will reinvigorate the series, because I'm going to have to basically start from scratch. Should be interesting. But from earlier, we've gone from a population of 177,000 down to now 100,000. And I assume that number will keep dropping. We've lost all but 4 of our commenter citizens, and I suppose that's where we'll leave it today. That was a big one. I think that ended up being the 1 in 1,000. Hell, not even that, like 10,000 year flood. Anyways, have a good one.